This is the PL-89 Gematriatic Quantum Thought Calendar for Wednesday, November 26th, 2025, and it is the fourth day of the week, the sixth day of Kislev. And the year is 5786, the Parsha is Vayetze, and Daf Yomi is Zevachim 73. The Gematriatic Quantum Thought Calendar is a solar and lunar calendar, and other calendars as well. It incorporates the Julian calendar, which was the calendar that was in effect for some 1500 plus years, maybe 1600 years before the calendars that we have today. It's also a solar calendar, and as it currently stands, it is 13 days behind our calendar, and it's used in terms of a reference point. In this calendar, as far as this calendar is concerned, it's used as a reference point, and it's supposed to, in a certain way, make up for the lost 11 days that happened in 1582 when the Gregorian calendar was instituted. In October, I believe it was October when it was actually implemented. Now, the Intergravissimas, the papal bull, came in February of that year, February 24th, but it was, from what I understand, put into place in October of 1582, and at that time, 11 days vanished from history because of the correction. So this calendar holds those 11 days in place, and it also connects the Daf Yomi learning schedule with that. And what's very interesting about the Daf Yomi learning schedule, and why this is only some kind of speculation that I further probe into and study as much as I can to uncover the secret behind this, is that from what I've read, and I'm open to anyone who's knowledgeable of this topic to please share in the comments section, that Greece was one of the last countries, the last major country, if not the last country, to adopt the Gregorian calendar that we have today. Meaning that today is November 26 because in 1582 Pope Gregory instituted this calendar and that corrected the Julian calendar, but they didn't all happen at once. There were several countries who took a while to integrate or to make the change. And I think that England made the change in 1752. So it took a while. I think so, but I'm not sure. I think it wasn't. But all the countries adopted this calendar at different times. But there was one country that was holding out by far until the last. That was Greece. And the year that it actually finally made the switch, and I think I remember seeing a video on that there was a whole fight within the Eastern Orthodox, I think Eastern Orthodox versus some other types of church in the Greek church that was a fight over this thing, but eventually they made the switch. But the year that Greece, which from what I understand is the last country that made the switch, was 1923. And guess what else happened in 1923? The Daf Yomi started in 1923. So my question was, and is the implementation of the Daf Yomi on September 11th, 1923, second day of Rosh Hashanah of the year 5684, does that have something to do with the fact that the last country, or the last known country, or major country, to switch to the Gregorian calendar was that year? And is there some kind of a benefit or I don't know what the word is, but some kind of a saving, a salvaging of sorts, a salvation perhaps, of something that by the Daf Yomi happening at this time if the Gregorian calendar, this is all speculation. I can't prove one way or the other. How could you, where would you go to find the answer? But I can just tell you what the history is. And even that might be mistaken on that from what I've read. I know that the Daf Yomi started in 1923. That's pretty common knowledge. And it's also verifiable that Greece adopted the Gregorian calendar in 1923. So do these two events have a connection? And this calendar seeks to uncover answers. And if there was a salvation through the Daf Yomi in 1923, in the year 5784, to which 84 is Daf, Daled and Pei is 84. It started in that year. That's also something that's telling. So, what could be brought out from this? What information has been preserved? Maybe that's the word. What has been preserved through the Daf Yomi? Time sequences, time schedules, pagination system, and the 7.5 year cycles, in which we're in the 14th cycle now. About to enter, well, we have a little while, but so that's what this calendar talks about, and seeks to go even further into a place of mind, a state of mind. Sometimes I call it the gematriatic state, or gematrionic state, where you're seeing everything in numbers. And when you're at that place and emotions are not involved, it's just numbers, then perhaps truth can be ascertained in a faster, quicker way. So I seek a few things with this calendar to advance the gematrionic or gematriatic state. Gematrionic is gematriona. Gematriona is my work with gematria as it relates to clock time. And gematriatic is just the term that I use for the adjective of gematria. It's gematriatic, means it's numeric, it's ascertained in numbers. But gematrionic is based on is a suffix of gematriona, which is a term that I coined that is specifically calculating gematria based on what time it is on the clock. And calendars as well, clocks and calendars. And all that was a very long introduction. I usually don't go, but sometimes I take some time to explain. There's several ideas, and sometimes I just go off on certain ideas, and that was that for today. But every day I look at this calendar, I see a box that represents the sun and a box that represents the moon. The sun being the solar calendar, being the Gregorian calendar, and the moon being the Jewish calendar, the Hebrew calendar, the lunar calendar. And on the sun, it's November 26th, 2025, and the box number for any 26th day of the month is always going to be this one here. Box number 21. And the idea is to take at very face value 21 and apply it to today. Look throughout the day and see what happened that was 21. And if you can't find something that's 21, there's something called the rule of 40, which you add 40 to it, because this calendar is based on 40. That's another long explanation, which I have explained and will explain at a different time as well. But 40 this calendar is based on 40, and if you add 40 to 21, you get 61. And if you can't find anything that's 61, then you just keep continuing. You want 101, 141, 181, 221, 261. 301, 341, 381. No, nothing's coming up. Okay, so then you move on. Okay, I haven't found anything with that, but 26 is very, very significant. In the Chaldean Gematria cipher, I have something called the matrix G. The G36 matrix. The G36 matrix is the matrix of the Gematria Nadir. And in the G36 matrix, there are 36 different Gematria, different ciphers. Like, for example, if I put in the word blue, okay? Blue could be 40 in English, and there's English, there's reduced, full, reduced, there's reversed ordinal, there's Jewish, there's squares, trigonal, Francis Bacon, Frank Baconis. And these are terms that were coined by the Gematria Nadir. And if it ever takes off, I may have to change them, because I would imagine they copyrighted those names, I'm guessing. Or maybe we can work together, they could deal with it, or whatever. But anyway, the point is that, and if you are in Gematria Nadir, I think the guy's name is Derek, and you're watching this video, and you'd like to talk about collaboration, I'd be happy to do so. Please contact me here. But the G36 matrix is 36 different ciphers that you can put one word in, you can get 36 different results on what that word is, and there can be 36 other words automatically. So it gives you a big perspective on what anything is. And one of the ciphers, the 34th one, is called the Chaldean Gematria cipher. And in the Chaldean Gematria cipher, the word Hadudaim is 26. And why is that significant? Hadudaim, often translated as mandrakes, are in this week's Torah portion. And the mandrakes were flowers that had some kind of magical properties that caused fertility. And Rachel was barren, and she wanted to have them because Reuben found them in the field, and Reuben was the son of Leah. And Leah said, "Why are you taking my mandrakes?" So Rachel said, "If you give me the mandrakes, I'll let you sleep with Jacob tonight, even though it's my night." And so Leah said, "Fine." And that's how the account goes in the Torah, this week's portion. But Hadudaim equals 26 in Chaldean Gematria. But why 26? What's so special about 26? I'll tell you. I'm glad you asked. Today on the PL-89 Gematriatic Quantum Thought Calendar, for the 6th day of Kislev, or any 6th day of any month that is in this box, which is today. Its box number, you saw it with your own eyes, 26. So there's a direct connection to this Torah portion, this time, and we're at, but there's also this Israeli women's group. They're called, I forget what they're called, but they were back in the 70s or something. And one of their songs is Hadudaim, because it's in the Song of Songs. And it says in the Song of Songs, Hadudaim natnu recham v'al tachenu kol megadim yishanim v'gam chadashim tzafanti lach. Which means, at our doorstep there are all manner of fruits, and the flowers, the mandrakes, are at our doorstep. And they sang the song, and I recorded it because I really liked the way it went 15 years ago, around this time. So we see that the time never really, it's the same idea that was happening. It was dated, I think, 11/20 or 11/21, November 21 of 2010. And I posted it now because it's still out there in YouTube land. And so when you start to analyze the Torah at that level, then you can really see how things are timeless. They're all here. and you plug into that timeless state. And that's one of the purposes of this PL-89 Gematriatic Quantum Thought Calendar. Thanks for listening.